Welcome to the Josh Button Podcast, where we discuss health, wellness, and outliers from society. To the Josh Button Podcast. Today is episode 78, and I am joined by Mr. Chris Krüger, and we're going to talk hormone optimization, amongst other things, I'm sure. But I saw you on the Peak Human podcast, and I came across you from Brian Sanders. Shout out to Brian. You guys put out a couple clips that I was instantly fascinated by, because I've fallen into these traps myself that you speak of so often. And I really want to get into that. But first, tell us who you are, how you came to this in the first place, a little bit about your background, your history, and then we'll get into hormone optimization.
All right. I'll try to keep that quick, because otherwise, dude, you get me talking, it could be the whole hour right there, Josh. Just boom. No, I asked Chris one question. So just to add to what you were saying there, it is drug-free, all-natural hormone optimization. And so all we need to love and enjoy our lives and have true health and fitness that we can just demonstrate tangibly, that we know is for real, is to naturally optimize our hormones. And so if I could tell you who the villains are in the space, it is the health and fitness industry, because they are all liars, whether they mean to do that or not, right? And then especially over on this other side, I would say there's a group of doctors that tout themselves as anti-aging. Really, they're making you age faster and getting you hooked on the lifetime prescription to their drugs, to their hormones. And so the health and fitness industry, what do they tell everyone, Josh? Hey, you're not disciplined enough. You lack consistency. You don't have the willpower. If you would just eat less and move more, you could succeed. But the statistics are clear. Everyone out there has done that 6 times in their life. Hey man, I'm getting so serious. I'm going to do P90X or 75 hard or the Tough Mudder or sign up for the marathon, whatever it is, because I'm going to eat less and move more, and I'm going to force the fitness. Well, your hormones aren't ever going to be forced, right? And so that, I know that you asked, hey, Chris, tell us about yourself. I had to say it is the drug-free natural hormone optimization. And so about me, the reason I'm in this space, the reason I am so passionate for drug-free natural hormone optimization is I saw, growing up with the health and fitness industry, where it's like, dude, why as a teenage boy do I want to buy these magazines called Muscle and Fitness or Flex or whatever that are like, yeah, check us out. We're shaved up, oiled up dudes, and we're here to wear our Speedos and flex our muscles. It's like, what? Why was that marketed to me as a teenage boy? Why was that interesting? And it's probably because, 5-10 years before that, it was all He-Man and the Masters of the Universe and Lion-O and the Thundercats. And it's you go back and look at those cartoons now, you're like, this is weird. And so, Josh, I am in health and fitness and have chosen to do this above all other opportunities because I came home from 6th grade one day and my parents are upstairs holding each other and they're just crying. And it's because, well, if you thought your childhood was going great, awesome, but now your dad has prostate cancer. And so it was this 6-year battle for him where every night I'm going to bed and I'm just praying man, Lord, if my dad could just make it to my high school graduation. And so there were ups and downs, and there was the conventional therapy and there was the alternative therapy. And my dad battled. But ultimately, you could say the reason he was in that predicament with type 2 diabetes or insulin resistance leading to a cascade of diseases and cancers and heart disease is that he was living this low testosterone life, right? A not hormone optimized life. And then once the medical system gets their hooks in you, it's no, follow the food pyramid, drink these glucerna shakes. Well, let's get you on chemo. Let's get you on radiation. I actually shared a story on Brian's podcast about, my dad just being I think his body crying out for nourishment, that we had to go to this awful restaurant in my hometown that they've bulldozed since then and put in a Chipotle, but it's called Captain Nemo's. And he's there, every night trying to get me to go to Captain Nemo's with him so he can eat the oyster stew. And it's that's gross, but what would be a lot better is Brian's dehydrated oyster pills would be a lot better than that, a lot more palatable. And so I'm in this because my dad did battle it for 6 years. And so I always want to be, but then I never was a guy that was like around the dudes that were like actually doing steroids, or maybe, they were adjacent or something, but I was never around them when they were doing it. And it just never made sense to me. And so when I was a kid, you thought, oh man, these baseball players, man, they ruined the game and they all took steroids and it's all coming out now. And the reality is today is testosterone, right? TRT, a steroid. And you can't tell me that it's not a steroid. It is a steroid hormone that people inject. It is the most abused Schedule III drug in America. There are like 5 million dudes out there shooting steroids. And you say, dude, no, Chris, it's not steroids because it's only TRT. That's like saying it's not a salad because it's only a side salad, right? It's not my fault you didn't go for the bigger portion. My mission is to just illuminate this path for everyone. And it also goes for women, and it goes for young women. Like, we don't need to go down to the IVF clinic and spend $25,000 to $100,000, right? A woman that is 35 years old starting IVF, every possible IVF cycle that she's going to run has a less than, I want to get the numbers right, less than 45% chance of success and a healthy baby, right? And even the baby she does have, you know, 20 years ago, you would have said, that's a test tube baby. And now that's too rude to say that your baby was conceived in a petri dish. No one wants to say that anymore, but that's a fact. And the hormones that you go on, that they inject you to do that, can have like lifelong impacts on the mother. And then the baby, the poor baby itself, the sweet little innocent baby, is never your best genetic material and his best genetic material, right? It's conceived in a lab. The egg didn't pick the sperm. That's how it's supposed to work. The sperms all get to race there, and then the egg gets to pick the best one. That didn't happen if you're conceived with IVF through all these drugs. And then the anti-aging doctors, it's all pushing the TRT. And there's so many guys that have totally normal in-range testosterone that they could double if they did what I coach. But instead, they get ensnared by the TRT doctor who is just a drug dealer, right? I have an Instagram post where I call him Dr. McQuack trademark, a little TM on it. And all he wants is to drug deal you. And so everyone needs to know that there is an alternative path to be empowered. And Josh, did I set the stage enough, or do I have to still do my background? Because I could give you a couple sentences on that too.
No, absolutely. I mean, everything you said so far registers completely. I'm in a similar situation as you. My father had poor health outcomes and went down the entire line of pharmaceutical intervention and dependency. And that's the reason I'm doing this right now. It's the reason I'm going out and finding individuals like yourself to mentor me and my audience, but also who have kind of faced the most toughest afflictions that most people in the United States face in one way or another, and have come to an outcome that actually works, something that is bona fide, good for you, as well as providing the results you're looking for. And you know what? I'm in a place with Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu where more often than not, the guys in our age range are on TRT. They
Dude,
are outsourcing.
the 5 million TRT abusers, 50% of them are jujitsu guys. It's like, well, I don't want to get my arm ripped off. Like, I better get on the Sawzul, right?
And I think a lot of it has to do with ego too, because they're going into this maybe even a little bit late, or they had some results that they couldn't sustain. So they're seeing things happen now with younger kids on the mat, and their ego's hurt by it, and they're like, I'm not going to let this happen one way or another. Actually, did you see the Rampage Jackson post this past week?
Oh, I did not.
He was actually being interviewed, and I forget who it was. He was talking to somebody, but they said something about whether or not he was natural. And he said, of course I'm natural. And then he admits 2 minutes later that he was on TRT for 20 years. And I was like, Rampage, that's steroid, brother.
Oh, man. It's like, I never ordered the dinner salad. I only ordered the side salad. It's the same thing, dude.
Exactly.
Oh, hilarious. And so and this is like all, I was talking to this dad, my wonderful little community here in Orange County. They put on these like Friday night concerts and all the kids run around and the parents stand around hanging out. And this dad was like, yeah, I think I want to look like Matt Frazier. And I'm like, the CrossFit guy? It's like, dude, it's totally incompatible with this guy's build and his everything. Like it just, but anytime you have a sport that is truly competitive and maybe where there's, you work your way up to there's prize money, unless there is absolutely stringent testing, then you can almost be certain that almost everyone is going to cheat that system. Right. And which is sad that, like, why am I doing jujitsu anyway? Well, it's probably, the last place I trained at, Gracie in Beverly Hills. And then I was out in the desert at Six Blades. And it's like, yeah, there's like these ethics and virtues why we would practice martial arts. And I don't think one of those is like, oh, well, my ego got bruised when the 25-year-old kid, didn't submit to my armbar. And so I will only talk to people about like true health and fitness. And that is, dude, before, we can even talk about anything, is like, can you just fit comfortably in your forever jeans? If we take your height in inches and multiply times 0.45, so 45% of your height, you better be wearing that size jeans as your fat jeans, right? And so for everyone, unless you are a giant, the right answer is the waist on your jeans should be 34 inches or less. Maybe if you're 6'7", 8, 9, you're like a literal giant, you could wear 36s. And so you should be wearing 34s if you're 6'3", 6'4". If you're, 5'10" to 6 foot, that kind of range, man, we got to be wearing 32s. If you're shorter than that, we got to be wearing 30s. And we got to slide them on comfortably. No muffin top, no back fat, relative flat stomach, if not washboard abs. But like, that's the start of health and fitness, right? Is this narrow waist, because you can go all the way back to the 80s and Dr. Reven at Stanford, right? PhD, Professor Emeritus. He just said, hey, we got syndrome X, which we call metabolic syndrome now, but it's this cluster of conditions that basically just all say, bro, you're insulin resistant. And so the one that we don't have to, we don't have to put it's high blood pressure. Well, your blood pressure should be 110/70, right? Forget 120/80, like just be 110/70. Not that hard to do if we are healthy and fit. But the one where we don't need the blood work, we don't need the blood pressure cuff, is we can just look in the mirror and put on your jeans and say, Josh, does this man or woman have visceral fat? Is there abdominal adiposity, right? So what adipose, maybe that's the Latin, the Greek for just fat. It's probably the Latin because I think lipid is the Greek, but don't quote me. Do you have fat crowding around your organs? Are you leaking triglycerides out of your liver? And is that swelling up your viscera, right? This internal abdominal cavity to the point where you're wearing jeans that are too big, where you're squeezing into the jeans that you have now. And so the solution for everyone, right? And I mean solution, like the answer is you're able to slide on jeans that fit comfortably and they're the right size based on your height times 0.45. And then after that, we want the V-taper, the Adonis ratio, the strength, the surplus, the reservoir of extra health, of abundant health. How many pull-ups can you do? Right? I don't need to go to the CrossFit Games or train for the triathlon or run a marathon or do high rocks or Spartan races. Just how many pull-ups can you do? Because here's the thing. If your strength is just increasing, maybe that's good. But if you're weighing 300 pounds to bench press 400 pounds, no one's impressed, right? What's even worse is if you're weighing 300 pounds to bench 300 pounds, then really no one's impressed. And so if we're just getting bigger and stronger and bigger and stronger, we might be becoming insulin resistant, which is what we talked about, Dr. Reven. It's just all, how insulin sensitive are you, right? It is the hormone game. You want a high testosterone life or a high fertility life, or you want to look great after menopause. We could call it natural hormone optimization, drug-free hormone optimization. We don't need bioidentical hormones that we inject. We don't need any other HRT. We need to just get right with your lifestyle. And really, there's things that you do every day, Josh. Like you wake up, right? You go to sleep, maybe you go outside, maybe you do some exercise, you're going to eat stuff. And if we just did this version, my version, right? The hormone optimized life, these things in this order instead of these things in that order, right? And it's these things, not those things. if we listen to a podcast, maybe that was confusing. I was making all the right hand gestures, right? So we're all going to, wake up, go to bed, eat food, maybe try to work out, maybe eat. If you will do my version of those things in the right order, we create the insulin sensitivity. We release the growth hormone. We turn on the hormone sensitive lipase. And what you do is you get in this virtuous cycle of I look better, I feel better, I do better, and now my hormones work better. Well, guess what? When your hormones work better and you wake up the next day, guess what's easier to do? Look better, feel better, do better, be better. And now your hormones work better again. And so like the difference is what the health and fitness industry tells us is like, hey, you're going to eat less and move more. Bro, I did that 6 times already. Every time I lost the weight and gained it all back. I did the power. Have you heard of this program? The Power of 90 Extreme Days. You know it as P90X, but extreme was right in the title. 95, it's not easy. It's not mild. It's hard, right? Everything is geared towards how hard can I tell you it is? CrossFit. Do we think CrossFit is easy or hard? It's hard, right? And so if everything is like, people will believe that if they do something really hard and they're disciplined and they're consistent, it will work. But even those things are going to crash your hormones, especially when you try to do them in the calorie deficit. When you try to eat less, you want to move less. When you use your willpower to still move more, then you want to eat more. When you use your willpower to eat less, the whole cycle is just draining your willpower, crashing your hormones, turning down the thyroid, literally, Josh, turning down your body temperature. That's the plateau everyone hits. Yeah, Chris, I've been eating less and moving more, and I'm in a 500 calorie deficit. No, you're not. You were in a 500 calorie deficit when you were 98.6 degrees all day long. Now you're 98.2 degrees and you don't even know it. The calorie deficit that you are eating for, that you are exercising for, is gone. You will be stuck forever. And I can go, the graveyard of people on the plateau stuck forever is at every gym in America. You go to the cardio section, look at all these guys. They come in every day. They're there at 6 a.m. They're crushing it on the elliptical, the treadmill, the stationary bike. I'm missing one, the Stairmaster. They're crushing it. And then they leave the gym and they're stressed and they're hungry and they're tired and they're exhausted. And it's 7 a.m. And then all they want to do is, if they can get to the office and they got a nice office, they take a nap on their couch. They don't have a nice office, they go take a nap in their car. They just, the body reconfigure. Oh, you wanted to spend the energy then? We won't spend it the rest of the day.
Right.
Silly. And so all we need to do is get you optimizing your own hormones, right? Where the whole fitness industry is showing us stress and scarcity. And then but here's the insidious thing, Josh, is it doesn't work for anyone, because all the influencers and all the successful people that are eating less and moving more and telling you to be more disciplined and be more consistent and be more like them, they're all taking the drugs. And so what are the 2 main drugs? The dudes are all on testosterone. And so we know what that is. It's made in your testicles. It's your masculine man, life feels great hormone. And if you inject it, it'll feel great for a short time. And then it's just side effects. And I got to take more and more side effects. And I got to take more. It's a game you can never win. And then women, we're now, oh, hey, we're all microdosing GLP-1. Glucagon-like peptide 1. And so the drug Ozempic is the GLP-1 agonist. The real hormone in your body is just GLP-1. And so we can eat and live our life in a way to trigger that hormone. Where at the end of the meal, you're not stuffed, right? Josh, if I take you to the Jade Palace Chinese buffet in my hometown, we could sit down and, dude, we could eat for 90 minutes and we would leave. And I'd be like, dude, Josh, you want another bite of gyoza? Like, you want that last dumpling? And you're gonna be like, no, dude, I'm stuffed. And so stuffed is entirely different from no longer hungry, from satisfied or satiated. And so, Josh, what is your favorite steak?
A ribeye.
The only right answer in the universe, the ribeye. And so, how do you get that cooked?
How do what?
How do you get it cooked?
Man, flat top grill usually, medium rare.
Medium rare. Okay, we got it again. And so, medium rare ribeye. I'm bringing over to your house the 24-ounce tomahawks. We're going to do an easy little 14-minute workout. Then we're going to eat that ribeye. How much of the 24 ounces, well, we won't even count the bone. It's 24 ounces of meat plus bone. How much of that ribeye are you going to eat?
Probably all of it.
Okay, good, because I brought you a second one. How much of the second one are you going to eat?
I definitely am not eating the second.
Definitely not eating the second one. And so you already know the feeling of triggering your own Ozempic hormone, your own natural Ozempic that your body already makes is saying, wow, we're nourished, man. We're going to go upregulate the mTOR. We're going to do protein synthesis. We're going to make muscles. Life is great. We are nourished. And so you already have that GLP-1 hormone available to you. We don't have to microdose Ozempic. That's the cool way of saying it now. It's like, no, you're just injecting performance enhancing drugs, ladies. That's what you're doing. And so you already make that hormone. We know we can make testosterone. In fact, the cool thing, Josh, about getting guys to make testosterone is that what you're really using is the long form of an enzyme of a hormone called hormone-sensitive lipase. Do you know what this is?
No, please explain it.
Okay. So just imagine all of your fat cells, right? When they fill up with whatever the fat is in there, maybe you fed them grass-fed butter, beef tallow, or just canola oil, right? Hopefully not canola oil, right? Is when you're a dude and your fat cells fill up, you got to imagine in every cell, it's like turning on this little estrogen factory. And when you're a dude, being fat, right? Being overweight, and it's cranking up your estrogen at the same time. This is now for you the hormone of misery, right? This is like, Josh, have you ever wanted to be more like a grumpy little old cat lady? Well, this is the hormone. This is the hormone for you. And so what we really need to do is turn on Mr. Pac-Man over here, and his name is hormone-sensitive lipase. So lip is, now I'm doubting myself. It's the Greek for lipid. We got adipose and we got lipid. It means fat, right? So lipase, ase is the enzyme that breaks that thing down. And so the enzyme that breaks down body fat is this hormone sensitive lipase. And so we need to turn it on, but it's hormone sensitive, right? So we got to turn insulin, IGF-1, ghrelin, serotonin, melatonin. We want to get all our other hormones in line with our daily practices, right? So we can continually be turning on this hormone sensitive lipase. And so the thing is, imagine that factory, right? The factory that is all these cells that are turned on is turning out estrogens. And they might look like this hand. For the people listening at home, I'm just showing you a hand. Testosterone looks like this hand, right? It's all the same pieces, but just rearranged. So somehow I get the thumb on the other side when the palm is facing you, right? That's the difference between a right hand and a left hand, right? And so it's all of the same pieces. And so the long form of hormone sensitive lipase is there to break down your fat cells. And then we're either going to use that fat for energy or we're going to turn that product into testosterone. And so this is what I was saying earlier. We look better, we feel better, we do better, we get better. Men, now we got more testosterone. And so for ladies, you just replace that with natural hormone balance. It's the same thing, right? Because women, it's also not just estrogen. We don't just want more estrogen. We want the balance of testosterone, estrogen, progesterone. And so now, Josh, for men, we're just cranking that up and it's going through your testicles, long form of hormone sensitive lipase, turning out more testosterone. And so the guy that goes to the anti-aging clinic and Dr. McQuack is like, hey, dude, let's just, let's get you up to 1,000. Nobody needs to be at 1,000, right? As a natural, sometimes I test above 1,000, sometimes I test in the 800s. You would be totally fine and happy testing natural total testosterone anywhere between like 450 and 750, right? If you're over 750, great, but it doesn't matter as long as it's your natural testosterone. And there's all sorts of things like anytime you get your blood work done, it's the snapshot of that exact moment, right? So depending on the workout the day before or what you did that morning or, all these other, how you slept that night. Oh yeah, Josh, your testosterone's too low. No, it's not. That's one moment of my testosterone, right? I get it measured later in the day. It's lower. I get it measured earlier in the day. So if I'm Dr. McQuack and I know this about testosterone, dude, I'm bringing in everyone to get their testosterone tested at the end of the day. Maybe I'll do something special to like stress them out in the lobby before they get tested, where I'm like even lower testosterone. And I say, oh, dude, this is low. You're going to pay me forever.
Right.
You're going to be coming in to get your blood work forever. Dude, that industry is so crooked and so corrupt. Like I'm working with this guy now. And so we're going to get him off of the TRT, but he's getting his blood work done every 3 months. And his last 2 blood works, his A1C is showing pre-diabetes. Doctor never says anything. He only says, oh, maybe we'll up your TRT. The next one shows greater insulin resistance, higher A1C, further, still pre-diabetic, but closer to diabetes. And the anti-aging doctor hasn't said a thing about it. It's just come get your drugs, come get your drugs, come get your drugs. And, a lot of these drugs, as soon as you start spinning out the cocktail, oh, it's not just TRT, but now it's TRT and growth hormone, is you are 100% certainly making yourself insulin resistant.
Right.
And it would be neat if you could oh man, the way your body's going to do it is your body's going to give the right amount of testosterone to make the muscles and do the thing and burn the fat and get the growth hormone pumping all at the right times and the right amounts, right? Your testosterone is supposed to go from high to low, and then we sleep and it goes back high to low. It's on this curve that goes up and down and up and down. Even if you're shooting, they call it pinning because it sounds cool. Even if you are injecting testosterone, pinning your test once a week, now it's high all the time, and then it just kind of ramps down. And then it's way up again and ramps down. We need this daily sine curve of it just up and down and up and down and ebbing and flowing, right? You need all of your hormones to be working in concert, to be playing this symphony. And so as soon as we inject one or inject another, you're just throwing everything out, out of balance, right? It's literally the Will Ferrell SNL where he's just banging on the cowbell. Right? You don't want to put the TRT, oh, we're banging the cowbell. No, all the hormones work together. And so that's what we do with my clients, Josh, is we say, what are the signals? And this is the biggest thing, dude. It's 2 ways of communication, right? Your hormones are already telling you things, right? Ghrelin is telling you something. This GLP-1 is telling you something. And if we can respond appropriately to what your hormones are telling you, then we can get to the right place where we get to tell them what to do. And so then we get this beautiful loop of, hey, I'm going out and I'm listening to my hormones, and then I'm giving them the feedback. I'm telling them what I want. What do I want? More serotonin, right? For a man, Josh, I'm looking at you dude, we got to pump that serotonin up, because there's never been a man with high natural testosterone. And think of, testosterone is this hormone of drive, assertiveness, controlled aggression, motivation, determination. Before you're ever going to get that hormone, you got to have serotonin, which is awake, alert, happy, confident, optimistic. There's no guy with drive and motivation and assertiveness and determination that wasn't first awake, alert, happy, confident. And so if we can get this one, then we can play the game in the middle, which is really your growth hormone, right? Your fountain of youth, against cortisol, your fountain of stress, or we could call it your fountain of aging, right? A little bit of cortisol is great. Man, hey, you just wake up in the morning. Do you want the blood pressure to get out of bed and stand up? You need a little bump of cortisol. And all it's going to do is get your blood pressure back up to 110/70, hopefully, ideally, if you're a healthy, fit individual, so you don't faint and fall back down. So we need that little bump of cortisol. But then everyone double bumps it, triple bumps it, where they got all this extra stress. And most people will do this around their health habits. And so people I want to get it. This is the fitness industry, right? I want to get in shape, so I'm going to work out. Good. We release growth hormone, but I'm going to work out even harder, and I'm going to do more cardio, and I'm going to burn more calories, and I'm going to do, 6 sets of 10 on 5 different machines. And you make your workout so stressful where the cortisol is knocking out all the growth hormone you had, right? Or the craziest one is people waking up 4:30 in the morning to a screeching alarm, cortisol, stress, so that they can go to the gym and get on the cardio or swing the weights or whatever. The thing is, what we want to do at the gym, what any workout should accomplish, I don't care about making your muscles big. Well, in the end, I care, Josh, can you do more pull-ups? And are they beautiful pull-ups that no one can argue with, right? Not Mark Wahlberg on the Ellen show where he's like, dude, what is that, bro? You said you could do it. It's garbage. But hopefully you have that clip. It's like his head isn't even up to the bar. Beautiful pull-ups that no one can argue with because they tell the truth. If you can't do 20 pull-ups, which basically no one can do, it's a very elite number, is you're either too fat or you're too weak. Chin-ups tells you the same thing. Push-ups tells you the same thing. Dips tells you the same thing. Pistol squats tells you the same thing and adds in balance and mobility. And so if we have those real metrics to do a real fitness test, I don't care who made it to the CrossFit Games. But yeah, man, I could do this all. That's what I said, Josh. I could do this all day. We could just talk all day, and I'll just go.
Unfortunately, most of the population is nowhere near any of those metrics, and or perhaps even on the flip side, taking medications already have a pharmaceutical dependency list that actually throws all this into chaos in the first place. So one example I have is people that have high triglycerides in their blood work that are going to be put onto one drug, people that have high cholesterol that are going to be put onto statins, people that are dealing with this concoction that's lowering their T through pharmaceutical and intervention. And I've seen it firsthand where my dad was actually prescribed TRT and it wasn't doing anything because of the entire chaos that his body had been thrown into with these other medications. So when somebody comes to you that's already dependent upon pharmaceuticals, do you have a plan of action? Do you have advice for getting them off of pharmaceuticals and getting them back into a healthy, just state?
And so that plan is always tailored to the individual because we have to know what their needs are, right? And so the thing is, it can't just be a podcast where it's a conversation with just me and the host. It can't be a TED Talk where I'm just blasting out the monologue. When you're really coaching, it is a dialogue and it is a give and take. And so the question I always do with all of my clients at the end of the onboarding call, right? And we've worked through everything already by saying, what other questions do you have? And so if I just wanted to get off the call and go on to the next client, I'd say, hey, any questions? None? Okay, great. I'd ask a yes or no question. But the whole thing is to actually execute this hormone game is you need certainty about what to do. And so as much as I love all these people that are spreading what I think are good messages, is there is an audience out there that is there for the infotainment. And so Josh, maybe I'll call out your audience right now is if you've listened to every episode of Josh's show and you're still 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 pounds overweight, then just listening to podcasts is not good enough, right? We need plans and action and we need stuff that works. And it can't be the same junk of eat less, move more, take your drugs that the fitness industry markets. And so when I was a kid, it was eat less, move more, take your protein powder. Now it's eat less, move more, take your protein powder and get your TRT. And it's nonsense and it's unnecessary and just, drug-free, all natural, 42-year-old dad with one kid and another one on the way. There's just no fitness influencer on or off drugs that's going to compete with me at pull-ups and chin-ups and dips and push-ups and pistol squats. Because those are the things that actually tell the truth. And so, yeah, maybe I could think of a few. Like, what I would love to entertain that challenge, right? But for most people, you're coming and maybe you already are on pharma. And so there's always a plan that we lay out with those individual clients that we have to agree on, right? And so sometimes it's okay, if you're on TRT, well, let's drop the 50 pounds first and then we'll get off TRT. And that's if you've been on it for, 5, 6, 7 years. If you just started TRT like today and you just heard me on a podcast now, then absolutely don't take your next dose, slide in my DMs and figure out how we start working together. Because you don't need that nonsense and you don't want that the rest of your life. Because here's the thing, 5 million TRT abusers, right? Trust me, I work with a guy who is, Special Forces, Army Ranger, incredible dude. There is like real need for certain people to be on testosterone. And if doctors prescribed it to them, these people that are genuinely hypogonadal from, man, I had like so many times where I was like borderline traumatic brain injury from concussive blasts in Iraq or something, then yeah, maybe there's like 10,000 people that should be on testosterone, not 5 million, right? Or 100,000. I don't know what that number would be. Like I have 2 clients right now, dude, that have 1 testicle apiece and they're getting the job done, crushing it, making it happen. So one guy lost one in an accident at work. He's got this like really cool but intense, like blue collar job where, yeah, a giant pipe just like sat down in his lap one day and crushed one of his guys. And then I have another dude that lost one to like testicular cancer 15 years ago. And these guys are getting it done with one. So why is anyone else shooting it up? And I'll tell you, it's almost always the smoothness of that salesman, the
Yeah.
TRT guy. And well, or it's the smoothness of the influencer, or it's, hey man, how am I going to compete in jujitsu if all these guys are juiced up? And so if you really want to do it, the genes, how you fit, not your DNA. Because here's the thing, everyone out there listening, you've got genes, GENES, you've got DNA that has been here since the beginning of mankind and got you here, delivered you to the present day. But we have these epigenetics where we switch and we're running our genes, we're running the software in the wrong mode. And so we just gotta, because here's the thing, Josh, if I just want to survive, well then depression and anxiety and storing body fat and pessimism are all helping me survive. That is survival mechanism in action, but it's a survival mechanism for when times are bad. And so what we need to appreciate is that we can create our own day here and say, no, times are good. So I got to trade the pessimism for optimism. I want to trade selfishness for selflessness. I want to trade storing fat for burning fat and building muscle. And we can all make these little trades that is doing it this way instead of that way, where we are going to thrive instead of just survive. Does that make sense though?
Absolutely, brother. Absolutely. Now I know not everybody in the world's going to go and hit you up in the DMs. Not everybody's going to be already ready to confront the reality that everything that they've been taught is wrong. And the reason that they plateaued or even saw negative results is because it was just bad information. What are some just baseline basics that you share with everybody, whether or not they're going to come to you and are ready to come to you or not?
Yeah, I think well, you said something interesting there about like confronting the truth. And so the truth is, if you are listening right now and you've already done a diet before and gained all the weight back, and you've probably done that if you're my age, if you're 42, probably done that 5 or 6 times. I have a new client that told me he's done it 12 or 15 times, right? Hey man, I always blame, I had a slow metabolism. And so the first thing to do is all those times that resulted in what we would call failure. I lost some, and I call this the after photo syndrome. Everyone can do P90X. Everyone can do 75 hard, but no one makes that a sustainable lifestyle. No one's like, hey man, I'm on my 10th round of 75 hard in a row, 750 days going strong. Nobody says that. There are a few people that get through and this is back in the day when we're still putting the DVDs in the DVD player. Hey man, I've done P90X 3 times. I don't think anyone did it a fourth time, right? I think barely anyone, who of all the people, the 20 million people that ordered P90X, who unwrapped the DVD set in the first place? Like just took the cellophane off. Half of them. Whoever put it in the DVD player, half of those. Whoever got up and did a workout, half of those. And so I would say we don't need to confront the truth. The truth should be obvious. Like you've already tried this so many times. You still don't fit in the jeans. You still can't do an adequate number of pull-ups to demonstrate any sort of relative strength. Right. And I was saying that earlier is, if we're just gaining weight and getting stronger, if you're getting fatter, it doesn't count. It doesn't count if you bench 300 when you weigh 300. But if we're just losing weight and we're taking Ozempic and we're getting weaker, that doesn't count either. The only thing that counts is I'm stronger and I'm lighter. And that means I have more relative strength. And by definition, that is a higher testosterone life. If my strength has increased and my weight has decreased, I am leaner and stronger so I can slice and dice through life. And so the number one thing I would urge your audience to do is just forgive themselves. It is not your fault. It is not your lack of willpower. It is not your lack of consistency. It is not a flaw in your character that you tried to eat less and you tried to move more and you worked at it 6 different times in your life. And every time it backfires, what happens after the after photo? You gain all the weight back. And so if you've done that 6 or 7 times in your life, you're not bad, you're average. That's what everyone's doing. And so the people that succeed are the ones that say, okay, well, I'll eat less and move more. And I'll tell everyone it's all about the calories. and then I'll inject the hormones. What if we just say it's all about the hormones? And so for the audience that is not ready, well, I think hey, Josh's audience, everyone's ready to just follow my Instagram, right? We can follow my Instagram. You don't have to slide in the DMs until you work up the courage. But everyone can start off with realizing what exercise is actually for. And so, Josh, let's just say, well, let's back up. This should be one that, I mean, honestly, Josh, I would love it if this was just taught in all schools, or if we abolished all schools and I just taught it to all kids at their local homeschool co-op.
Great
Right?
idea.
Great idea. Dude, we're solving all America's problems right here. The world's problems, Josh, is we have to first understand, like I said, I was talking about, you have to understand and interpret the signals your hormones are sending. And so you have this hunger hormone, ghrelin. Oh, my stomach is growling. I'm hungry. Josh, well, I could ask you, or I could ask, what do you think is the average person in your audience? If I say, hey, man, you're getting this signal from your hormones, it's called hunger. What does hunger mean to you?
Time to fuel the tank.
That's exactly the problem. If I think hunger means it's time to fuel the tank, then I am on the path to pre-diabetes and diabetes. Hunger, let's do it this way, Josh. There's Josh Wolf. It's a cool wolf. He's like an alpha wolf. He's like one of the top dogs in this wolf pack. And there's Chris Wolf. Not quite as cool, but still there, right? And Josh Wolf says to Chris Wolf, we're just chilling in the wolf den. Hey, man, Chris Wolf, I'm hungry. And Chris Wolf's like, yeah, dude, I'm hungry too. And Josh Wolf's like, well, dude, what do we do? We're hungry. And Chris Wolf says, well, what do we do every day, wolf brother? And so when we are hungry, we go out of the wolf den, we stick our noses up in the air, we look around, we take in the scents, and then we go get that bison herd. And so hunger means hunter. You must beast before you feast. And so my main tenets, we will beast and feast and fast and sleep to trigger the right hormones in the right amounts at the right time of day to show our bodies that we are living a joyous and abundant life, period, full stop. We are not going to eat less. We are not going to move more. We are not going to do more cardio. We're not going to try to burn calories. We're not even going to try to build muscle. We're not even going to try that. We are not going to use willpower and blame ourselves for being inconsistent and show our bodies a life of stress and scarcity. It's a path to failure. And so if hunger means eat, well, bro, let's open up the DoorDash app. Let's go to Arby's. Let's get some Domino's, right? Uber Eats, you deliver in here? Hunger means hunter. And if we can respond to that appropriately, and then the workout is to do two things for certain. We create insulin sensitivity. Insulin is your most anabolic hormone. It is number one. It is the big brother. He's responsible. So we got, insulin, IGF-1, growth hormone, testosterone, vitamin D. Vitamin D is not even a vitamin, it's a hormone. And so we got these top 5 guys. Insulin is the king. And so we got to create sensitivity to insulin. And then we got to release this other awesome hormone that wants you to build muscle and burn fat. And that's little brother, that's growth hormone. And so these guys kind of have a relationship where it's like, you can't really play with the cool younger brother. You can't really play with growth hormone until insulin's out of the way. So we make the sensitivity to insulin in the workout, but we release the growth hormone. And so along the way, instead of burning calories and trying to build muscle and trying to get all our steps into, like, no one in the wolf pack ever gets to the bison buffet. Hey guys, great, successful hunt, but hey, my Apple Watch says I didn't get my steps in, so I'm just going to trot around the meadow. You guys have lunch. I'll be right back. It's nonsense. And so we get that insulin sensitivity, we pump the growth hormone, and we do train our fast twitch muscle fibers, right? And so if we train our fast twitch muscle fibers, because we're the wolf pack on the hunt for the bison herd, we're going to grow some muscle. We're going to have some hypertrophy. And this one, I will nail it. It is the Greek. Hypertrophy is excess nourishment. All of the adult muscle that you've put on, since junior high is your hypertrophy. And so we want to eat in a way that defends the muscle that you've gained, right? And we want to upregulate this pathway in each individual cell called mTOR, where we're doing more protein synthesis. where we're building up more muscle to do more pull-ups and pistol squats and chin-ups and push-ups and dips. But that, Josh, if we can just get your whole audience to say, hunger means hunter. I don't care how many calories I burn. I don't care the exact measurement of my biceps. What we care about is the measurement of your waist, because that is a proxy for zero visceral fat. And so that same measurement that we've been giving for the fat genes, your height times 0.45, we also want to have that height times 0.45 would be your body circumference at the navel. And so women would probably like to look at men that are attractive. Men would probably like to be attractive. So men, here's what you do. You create a physique that is V tapered. And how do we get that? It's this Adonis ratio. And so we want your shoulders to be big and strong and muscular and capable of doing dips and push-ups and pull-ups and chin-ups. And then we want your waist to be small, because that's what's telling women that you're healthy, is that you don't have the visceral fat. Above and beyond that, you could have body fat probably anywhere from 9 to 15%, and you could do a lot of pull-ups at 15% body fat. You probably do even more at 9. You might do the most at 12, right? So around 12% body fat is literally all women are going to say. 12% body fat, and the dude looks like he can do 20 pull-ups. That guy looks great. And so 20 pull-ups, Josh, sounds intimidating, but everyone in your audience right now that has 2 operable arms is within 1 year of doing their first pull-up if they can't do it already. And so after you can do your first pull-up, all you have to do is do your second pull-up. And then once you can do 2, you just got a PR again. And so if we actually cared about the real metrics, right? Like, it's so stupid. These guys that are like, oh, well, I'm on TRT and I got to go get my blood drawn how many times a year? 12, 6, 4, 3, whatever, however many times they're going. Bro, you can't even do 3 pull-ups. You're on steroids and you can't do 3 pull-ups. I'm over here all natural. Even Josh, when I'm like relaxing the diet a bit and I'm like, oh, let's go out with the family and drink a pitcher of beer and eat a couple pizzas. Even at 232 pounds, I fit into my fat jeans and I can do 18 pull-ups. And I say, you know what, Chris? That was too much beer and too much pizza. 18 pull-ups isn't good enough, because we got to have standards. And now we just tighten things back down, turn the dials a little bit. And then all of a sudden we go from, 15, 16% body fat back down to 8 or 9. And so there's all this room when you know how to harness your hormones, where you get to have your health and enjoy your life too. To me, there's no bigger dork in the world than the guy that's like, okay, I've meal prepped all my 67 meals for the week, and if you invite me to a restaurant, I'm just going to bring my food there and I'll eat it cold off to the side with shame. And I think that, I always talk to my clients as they're coming on about this emotional trigger, right? Which is like the reason you have to raise your standards, the reason you have to have the results, is you can't look in the mirror and feel shame or guilt or embarrassment or any of these other negative emotions. Everyone, if you will look in the mirror, and Josh, the word for week 1 in every program I've ever created has always been integrity, which is just, being honest, telling the truth. But the most important person, the first person you got to be honest with and tell the truth to, is yourself. And so when it's just you stepping out of the shower, looking yourself in the mirror, and you're being honest with that guy or girl here, is you got to tell the truth. And if you are disgusted, if you are fearful, if you are guilty, shamed, embarrassment, and so many dudes, they'll come to me and be like, Chris, I want to get off TRT. I don't want my kids to know I'm on it. My wife doesn't even know I'm on it. And so if I feel ashamed of my body because I don't want to take my shirt off at the pool party, why is my alternative to go take the drugs that I'm ashamed to take? The real truth is we just have to raise our standards and figure out how to win this hormone game. And yes, in everyone, so it's beast, feast, fast, sleep, repeat. It is not a list. It is a loop that you make happen every single day. And it all starts with hunger means hunter. You create the insulin sensitivity, you release the growth hormone, and then from there, we can take advantage of that insulin sensitivity. But yeah, Josh, does all that make sense so far?
You're screaming at me. This is my life right here. I've done the
That's your
intermittent
life?
fasting. I did the intermittent fasting for years and years and years when I was doing all these other extracurricular activities. And when it comes down to it, I look back and I go, well, at least I had part of it right. and I was kind of earning my meal in a way. And now, 5 years into jujitsu, I'm 46, so I'm a little bit older. I eat more than once a day, but I beast more than once a day. So I think I'm getting pretty close to what you're prescribing here. I go and I train jujitsu pretty good. I have my restorative. I eat. I do recovery. Then I train again. Then I eat again. So I don't know what your fasting protocol is. Is it a 16/8 or is it dependent?
No. So here's the thing is we could do all sorts of, call them intermittent fasts. What really matters is these metrics that no one else is thinking about, right? So, or not even metrics, but like how far after dinner did you have until bedtime? How much melatonin optimization did you do before bedtime so you get the biggest pump of growth hormone when you sleep? Did you create the insulin sensitivity before you ate? Right? And so the silliest thing ever is there's all these dudes will be like, oh yeah, well for my bodybuilding, I got to have my like pre-workout meal. Really? So you're going to uh upregulate your parasympathetic nervous system. You're gonna put your body into rest and digest mode, right? You're gonna release insulin before the workout. Like none of it makes any sense. And that's gonna blunt the growth hormone you get from the workout. And so, yes, train fasted. If you're doing it twice a day, great. Beast and feast and fast, and then beast and feast and fast and sleep would be the way to do it. And so the whole idea of intermittent fasting is there's protocols that absolutely don't work. I'm going to fast all day. I'm only having one meal a day, but the meal is at midnight while I like watch TV in bed. That's going to be terrible. Right. And there's other protocols where it's like, oh, well, that makes a little bit of sense. And then it's just putting all, and here's the thing. It doesn't make any sense to give somebody one piece of advice like, oh, here's the treasure. You see, it's buried here on the X. Well, there's a whole map that's 100 different pieces that you don't see. And so I try to get, when I do a podcast, I want to walk people through the whole thing. But again, so much of it is like individualized and tailored and, getting people to understand it's like, no, you literally don't have to work out harder. Like all these executives that I train, the ultra VIP clients where they're spending some time of their life on private jets on a regular basis. Dude, you don't have to go that hard. And even back, I was working my way up to being the #1 in-person trainer at Equinox before the pandemic. And I'm at the very, very, not just the regular Equinox, but the very, very fancy one. And there's all these guys that are, I'm partners at the big firm for the talent agency or the law firm or whatever in Century City. Like we're basically running LA and they're there just beating themselves up on on the elliptical at 6 a.m. and their bodies never change. And it's like, dude, you need to do less, right? There's so much of like, if we did less, we would get more. But we've been told, no, man, it's all about the calories. The truth is, it's all about reality. And the reality is your hormones. And if you just would look at what these people do, you would see that. Well, the meme where it's the guy's like he's like sweating and he's like, am I going to hit this button or that button, this button or that button?
Yeah.
So it's like, you can claim it's all about the calories, but then you can't inject the hormones, or you can admit it's all about the hormones. And so it's obviously all about the hormones. And so if you look around, you're like, wow, everyone that seems like they've got this figured out is on TRT or something harder. Well, then the thing to figure out is your natural testosterone production. How do I turn up that hormone sensitive lipase? How do I get all my hormones going in the right direction? And really, that king hormone, the real master hormone, is insulin, right? And so we got to think about insulin sensitivity, and that can never mean, oh, I'm hungry, it's time to refuel. No, it's not. You have all the fuel you want. It's already in your liver. It's already stored in your muscles as glycogen. All you needed to do was warm up. Even dumber than the pre-workout meal is like the pre-workout drink. If you just warm up and break a sweat, that's all the energy you needed for the whole workout right there, right? And so now you've got the insulin sensitivity. Now you're releasing the growth hormone. Now we can finish the rest of the hormone game and get you around to where, hey man, now we're going to go get the serotonin. We're going to max the growth hormone. We're going to limit the cortisol by not doing the stupid stuff that just makes things unnecessarily hard. And then you get the high testosterone.
Awesome. Beast, feast, fast, repeat.
Sleep. You got to sleep.
Yeah.
Beast, feast, fast, sleep, baby. Make it happen.
Krüger Body. That's on Instagram. Where else?
At Krüger Body, KRUGERBODY. If you send me a message, I can send you some other podcasts that I've been on, but it's similar stuff. But I'll have people Josh, because people want to be like, oh, well, I got to research Chris and figure out, before I reach out. And by the time they talk to me, it's like they've heard me on, they found 5 podcasts. I had one of my new clients found a podcast that I didn't even remember doing. He's like, yeah, you were on with this like Welsh guy. I was like, when was I on with a Welsh guy? He like sent me the link and I was like, oh, yeah, you're right. That was a pretty good podcast. And so, yeah, go find me at Krüger Body. And Josh's audience, dude, just ask yourself, hey, man, am I fitting in my forever jeans? Am I comfortable? Am I off all the drugs? Am I doing it drug-free and natural? And then we can figure out where to go from there. But yeah, at Krüger Body, KRUGERBODY on Instagram. And then, yeah, I guess if you throw my name in Spotify or Apple Podcasts, you might come away with a few other hits.
We'll have it in the show notes. I'll do my best to point them in the right direction. And as far as myself goes, I'll be following along and learning as I go. And bro, can't wait to see what you're doing next. You said big things are on the horizon, and I believe you.
All right. Talk to you soon, Josh.
Thank you, Chris. You guys have a good day.
All right. Later, buddy.